Berenice Abbott was born in 1898 in Springfield, Ohio, into a troubled family. Her parents' separation meant she grew up largely on her own, fostering an independent streak early on. She once described herself as a softie who got hard pretty fast. And so she did. Defying her mother's wishes to marry or to teach, Abbott carved her own path, first studying journalism at Ohio State University before following her restless spirit to the artistic hub of Greenwich Village in New York City. In Springfield, the small-town life did little to quench her curiosity or ambition. Even as a young girl, Abbott was drawn to ideas, books, and the arts, though her environment offered little encouragement. This thirst for exploration eventually led her to leave Ohio entirely, seeking opportunities in bigger, more vibrant cities. Her early years laid the groundwork for the tenacity she'd exhibit throughout her career, setting the stage for a life that would unfold far beyond her Midwestern roots. In the vibrant bohemian scene in New York, Abbott mingled with avant-garde luminaries like Man Ray and Marcel Duchamp. Though she initially studied sculpture, it was in Paris where her creative journey truly took flight. Abbott adopted the French version of her name, Berenice, and immersed herself in the expat art scene. Through Man Ray, she discovered her true calling, photography. Paris in the 1920s was a playground for the creative and unconventional. It was here that Abbott's life took a decisive turn when she became Man Ray's darkroom assistant. Handling film and prints every day, she developed an eye for composition and storytelling. Abbott's portraits of intellectuals and artists like James Joyce and Jean Cocteau captured the raw essence of her subjects, establishing her as a photographer with a gift for both technical mastery and emotional depth. Her early work focused on striking portraits of artists and writers, but Abbott's most profound influence came from French photographer Eugene Atget, whose haunting images of old Paris inspired her mission to preserve a disappearing world. Abbott discovered Atget's work by chance, but the impact was immediate and life-changing. Atget's photographs of Paris's fading streets, shops, and neighborhoods resonated with Abbott's love for documenting the ephemeral. She not only championed his work, but also ensured its preservation after his death, securing Atget's legacy while shaping her own vision of photography as a medium that could preserve history. In 1929, Abbott returned to a New York transformed by skyscrapers and rapid modernization. She was mesmerized and determined to document the city's contrasts, its old neighborhoods, alongside soaring new towers. This led to her groundbreaking project, Changing New York, funded by the Federal Art Project during the Great Depression. Photographer Ralph Steiner wrote that Abbott's work was the greatest collection of photographs of New York City ever made. The city that Abbott returned to was both familiar and alien, a mix of the old and the astonishingly new. With her large format camera, Abbott spent years documenting New York City's evolution. Her photos weren't just visual records, they were stories about progress, displacement, and resilience. From the Brooklyn Bridge to bustling street corners, Abbott's lens captured a city in motion, solidifying her reputation as one of the era's greatest urban photographers. Abbott's Changing New York series remains a vivid portrait of a metropolis on the brink of modernity, balancing its industrial might with the humanity of its inhabitants. As the photo historian Terry Wiseman explains, Abbott was interested in how the things in the world reveal the world. Abbott's photograph Night View New York captures the city at night in a striking interplay of light and shadow. The brilliance of the building lights and the glow of car headlights starkly contrast with the solid, monolithic structures that define the urban landscape. Taken between 4:30 and 5 p.m. during a brief window when office lights remained illuminated and dusk had begun to settle, Abbott meticulously planned this view from a high floor of the Empire State Building. She calculated a 15-minute exposure, relying solely on the ambient light radiating from the city below. Captured on December 20th, 1934, the photograph encapsulates the dazzling emergence of modernity, portraying New York City as a beacon of progress and ambition from the towering perspective of a skyscraper. But Abbott wasn't done innovating. By the late 1930s, she turned her lens to science, driven by a belief that art can make scientific ideas accessible to everyone. Working with institutions like MIT, she created groundbreaking images that explained physics and engineering, even inventing tools to enhance her photography, such as a darkroom distorter, a picture composer, a thumb camera, and high-shot shoulder pod. She explained in a letter to a friend, "We live in a world made by science, but we, the millions of laymen, do not understand or appreciate the knowledge which thus controls daily life." Abbott's scientific photography was a revelation. She visualized complex ideas, magnetism, wave patterns, and acceleration with clarity and elegance. Her work at MIT transformed technical subjects into visually stunning pieces of art, blending precision with creativity. It was another way that she used photography to bridge worlds, this time between science and the general public. In her later years, Abbott found solace in the quiet beauty of Maine. Her work shifted to capturing the essence of rural life, culminating in her book, A Portrait of Maine. Despite her success, she never lost her independent spirit or her drive to push boundaries. Maine offered Abbott a chance to reconnect with nature and reflect on a lifetime of accomplishments. Her photos from this period celebrated the simplicity of everyday life while showcasing her continued mastery of light and composition. Even in her later years, she remained as dedicated to her craft as she had been in her youth, always seeking new perspectives to explore. From the bohemian streets of Paris to the bustling avenues of New York, and even the mysteries of science, Berenice Abbott's vision was as expansive as it was precise. She saw the world not just as it was, but as it could be, a belief that continues to inspire photographers today. Her work reminds us of the power of curiosity and perseverance, of how art can document change while sparking change itself. Berenice Abbott didn't just capture history, she made history.